Well, welcome in. It is episode 94 here of the Three Guys Talking Ball podcast. It is the Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champion, DeMarcus Ware edition of the podcast, episode 94. It is week one has wrapped up in the college football slate. We got week one on deck tonight. The Chiefs play the Lions, and then we got a full slate on Sunday, and then back to the college ranks. We actually have some decent games outside of kind of a lackluster week one of college football. Ethan's Gophers got off to a good start here. A little bit of a defensive battle, but to help break in the new year, you need that rugged, grinded out Big Ten win, and the Gophers got that. An incredible catch, which watching it live did not think he got his foot in, and then all of a sudden you see the ref put his hands up like he just called that so they could review it, and then you watch it, you see the toe drag, you see the tires pop back up as, oh, wow, he did catch that. And then Saturday, not a whole lot of games. North Carolina lobotomized South Carolina. Sunday kind of I would say the game of the week in college football. The LSU Tigers and Florida State Seminoles. LSU led at halftime, and then Florida State just beat the doors off of LSU, a very overrated LSU team, might I add. They should not be ranked number 5 in the country. This is also, they beat Alabama. They showed out for one game. Then they also lost to Florida State last year. They also lost to a lifeless, pathetic Texas A&M team too. Jaden Daniels proved why you cannot trust him. He's too inconsistent, turn the ball over. Sloppy, classic Brian Kelly team. There's already people that want to fire Brian Kelly down in LSU. They've already seen enough. They're said, get him out of here. Bring back Coach O. And then Clemson is back to Clemsoning. They're dead. That might be the best way to describe it. Is Clemson is dead. They're pretty much written off. I'm an idiot. I believe Grant had Clemson winning the ACC as well. We're both idiots. Ethan is the only smart one on the podcast.
By the time you admit that, we'll look past it.
And the Bison got a week one win. They looked much improved as well. Their defense, they looked flying around. The tackling looked much improved on US Bank Stadium. Hopefully there's another team on Sunday playing there this Sunday that has an improved defense as well as they take on the Buccaneers, which we'll get into here. But, guys, did you guys have any week one thoughts? Now, how are we feeling judging off of each of our teams? Are you encouraged, discouraged, kind of what I expected? Oh, and I guess, we should mention Deion Sanders won his first game. I don't know if that was ever talked about either.
He did?
I never knew that.
That's what I heard.
I didn't even know he was playing.
Yeah.
But I guess with the Gophers, I don't know. I shouldn't say expected because I did think there were going to be more points. Grant pretty much nailed this on the head. I think you said 17-10.
17-10.
Yeah,
yep.
I was gonna say, so Grant pretty much nailed it right on. But no, I mean, you got to be happy with what the Gophers did, especially defensively. Sims is a terrible quarterback. But literally the only play over 25 yards was one run by Sims and then the broken trick play that somehow turned into a touchdown. Everything else kept it in front, made him try to make him throw, and Sims definitely could not throw.
Well, I know Georgia Tech hasn't ran that triple option in a couple of years, but
he threw it there last year, and he was better than that. So I don't know what the hell that was. But
even then, I still can't trust any quarterback who played at Georgia Tech. So
no.
Good luck, Matt Rule. You're going to need it this year because it's going to be a long season with that passing offense in Lincoln for him.
They just need to They just need to go back to the triple option. They might have a chance with that defense.
At this point, it's not a terrible idea.
Their defense is good.
Yeah. The Scott Frost, you're not going to take the Scott Frost out of Nebraska in one game, and we were talking about this after the game, guys, that the Nebraska's defense looked better last week than it ever did under Scott Frost. So you have to be encouraged by that. I thought offensively, it was the same old Nebraska. They moved the ball well, 20-20, but then they just get in their own way. you have a turnover right before the half. You have a false start right when you're about to score, which would have given you the lead at halftime of the game, and then you false start, then you throw a terrible interception.
But how much BS is that they get called for a false start, but then you can go back and even review it because there's technically no play.
Yeah.
Like, how much bullshit
I was confused by that too.
Well, it's nothing's going to get done. Okay, he didn't move. Well, the play still technically didn't happen, so even if they would have scored, it doesn't do anything. It's just that's just a silly rule that makes no sense.
Rule.
Yeah.
It's just they still ran. They technically did run a play. They just fucked it up.
It's only a dumb rule if it hurts your team. If it helps you, then it's great.
No, it's still a stupid rule, even if it does benefit you. But it obviously is a good thing.
It's an extremely stupid rule. Let's not play the game where if it helps your team, it's a good rule. If it hurts your team, it's a bad rule. It's a stupid rule.
Yep. Straight up.
I think kind of my takeaway, guys, just from week one in general as a whole is this. We got to remember the first 4 weeks of the season, defenses are always going to be ahead of your offense. So if your team didn't perform too well or you're worried, our offense looks sluggish, they look like they didn't want to play, they were out of sync. That's what happens, fans. It's okay. Let's take a deep breath and realize that, you know what? Defenses, they just go out and react. You can have as much practice time as you want, running extra routes after practice, getting people together at someone's house for the summer to work on your passing concepts until you're out there with live bullets and your quarterback has a pass rush in his face and he has to work on putting that ball in the perfect placement. No offense is going to look good right away. And if you do, it's because you're playing Portland State and you're Oregon and you just have straight up better players than them.
564 push-ups that mascot had to do.
Oh,
man.
So
dude, necks have to be torn, like literally.
Or he's just at like 6% body fat now.
Or he's just dead.
He's just chiseled. Or he's dead.
Not to mention too that you probably have on about 20 pounds of gear. And it's not cool in there either. I remember when I was a officials host and NDSU was playing South Dakota. And he like kind of came back around underneath the tunnel and he just took us, was like, man, it is hot in there. And I was like, yeah, I bet it looks like it. He's like, it's not as bad as what it was because they played Kansas State in like week 1.
Oh, gross.
And he said that it was like 100. It was like 95 degrees. It was like 115 on the field. And he said he was so dehydrated afterwards he had to get an IV.
I believe it, man.
Because South Dakota's mascot is a coyote, so it's a lot of fur. It's not like it's just some. Well, and even if it's not just fur, that probably adds to it. But even if you're in like what the Nebraska guy, Herbie Husker or whatever his name is, or like the Purdue Boilermaker guy, whatever he is, I mean that's still thick cotton that you're underneath.
There's no good mascot. Unless you're like Notre Dame's guy.
The Notre Dame guy.
The Leprechauns.
The Florida State the Florida State Chief is absolutely elite.
I mean, if you're the Oklahoma guy, you can tip over on the wagon. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, just don't take the turn a little too sharp and don't tip over the schooner.
Let the ponies out crazy.
But yeah, that's kind of the week 1 recap. Everybody else has talked about Deion Sanders. They're ahead of what I thought. It's one game. We'll see if that holds up. But Shedeur Sanders looked incredible. Travis Hunter might be the Heisman favorite at the moment right now after one game.
Well, why do you think Travis Hunter was the number 1 player out of high school?
Yeah, have we ever seen anyone play that many snaps before in one game? I honestly don't think so.
I haven't. Not a chance.
That's just not normal.
And to do it in that Texas heat too, that's the most impressive part about it. It's not
to do it again.
Not like it was at 6:30 at night and the sun's going down and he's got some shade. At 11 a.m. in the morning when that sun is at its highest point for 3 hours, that's impressive, man.
That was the most watched ever Big Noon kickoff on Fox.
Isn't that incredible? Fox is trying to compete with ESPN by having the biggest window for all the years.
ESPN is screwed
Oh, totally.
because
Yeah,
the Spectrum thing. They're down.
yeah,
Like,
respect.
I want to say
Spectrum now.
College Game Day was down like 18 or 20% or something like that.
That's
Like,
because that in College Game Day is not what it used to be.
No, it's not.
I like the Big Noon Kickoff pregame show a lot more than I like College Game Day. Hell,
But
even I don't even think College Game Day is the best pregame show on its network. If you go to the SEC, I can't remember what it's called, but with Marty Smith, Ryan McGee, and those Feinbaum and those guys, that show is way more interesting than what College Game Day is.
Well, they're just somewhere in the SEC, right? Isn't it on like SEC Network or something like that?
Yeah.
There's a specific name to it though, just like Big Noon Kickoff or whatever.
Gotcha. But no, it's crazy.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, with Big Noon, you've had Michigan, Ohio State, Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan. Like I said Michigan, Penn State, Michigan State, Iowa, Michigan. And the most watched game was fucking Deion Sanders in Colorado playing a TCU team who doesn't have their quarterback after they just went to the college football national championship. People want to see Deion, and that is hilarious.
I also felt like it was good to see the Big Ten on NBC. First time ever, outside of like Notre Dame playing a Big Ten team like Michigan or something. But just seeing Penn State, seeing the big stadium there, like it felt like it was a good spot.
When I watched that game quick, just for like when the Carolinas game was on commercial, and that, to your point, Ethan, that just felt right. It felt like the Big Ten belonged on NBC, but that shouldn't surprise us because NBC has the best production / telecast for football, in the NFL, and it's the same people doing it for college, so that shouldn't surprise us. Another thing that didn't feel right was watching Ohio State, Indiana on CBS.
Yeah.
You want to talk about what didn't feel right? Watch Northwestern and Rutgers on CBS. And it's not even that it was on CBS. It was the fact that they were allowed to be on TV.
That was a standalone game.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I watched it at work. I mean, I've seen worse games. I'll say that. Rutgers actually looked okay, but it is Northwestern, and God knows how bad they are.
Yeah. They it wasn't the most watched. It was the most watched Week 1 Big Noon Saturday matchup ever. It wasn't the most watched Big Noon game of all time, but the number one Week 1 game, according to Deadline. Yeah,
it was Week 1 Big Noon game. Yeah,
because I'm guessing one of the Michigan Ohio State games was number one. Because Dylan, you won't want to admit this right here, but by seeing your nonverbals there, you went total fan guy, and you were like, "Are you kidding me?" Michigan Ohio State was not the number one viewed game on Big Noon, so you had to go to the internet and find that out right away.
Yeah, because all the Ohio State fans had to cut out. They're getting their ass kicked. They quit watching.
Yeah,
but no, like I said, Dale, I'm not making fun of you, but your nonverbals right there. You were almost like agitated, like, are you kidding me? It wasn't a Michigan Ohio State game. That's bullshit. I need to find the answer to this.
Yeah, because Michigan Ohio State last year or Michigan Ohio State in 21 had 15.83 million, and then in last year's game had 17 million.
You know what's crazy? For an NFL Sunday, those are horrible ratings at 325.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. But
that's just crazy.
But the Pac-12 is clearly the best conference in college football this year. They're going out with a bang. Last year the Pac-12, RIP. But it's also not, and I shouldn't say the best, but I mean it might be the most deepest, and they're probably going to cost themselves a playoff berth again because the QB talent is off the charts in there. I mean, you've got Caleb Williams, returning Heisman winner, DJU, who looked much more improved and clearly was not the problem at Clemson. Michael Penix is a Heisman candidate. The quarterback at Washington State, whose name is escaping me, looks really good as well. And Dante Moore, the freshman for UCLA, he looked like a stud. He can spin it. a lot of good quarterbacks in the
you said-
Pac-12,
You see, Bo
and that's
Nix,
going to keep a lot of teams that
Bo
shouldn't
Nix.
be in the game. Shadur Sanders.
and then Tam Rising, who didn't play last week.
Yeah, that's just insane.
All the best quarterbacks in the country
Dude,
are in the
If
Pac-12.
you're Arizona, like you got to feel so just awful. Like who the hell do they have? Some bum they found in Montana?
Probably some dude whose last name is Tate, who's not that good. But
Didn't they get a transfer?
Khalil Tate.
I feel
That's
like?
who you reference. It was the same guy as last year. I'm pretty sure. I think.
Oh, is that?
Jaden DeLora, he's actually a pretty good quarterback, but
I wouldn't sure. I've given up on Arizona athletics. You can't trust their basketball team. And at a basketball school, if you can't trust the basketball team, you shouldn't trust the football team.
Fair point.
yeah.
So
Very true.
sorry, Wildcats.
And then Bo Nix as well. We're forgetting.
Well, I said that 20 seconds. I said that 2 minutes ago.
You did. Well,
did.
did you? Oh,
He
I did.
I
True
And
I
statement.
missed that part then.
But Dylan, to give you credit or not shit on you here, there are a lot of quarterbacks in the Pac-12, and you didn't mention Bo Nix, and I was like, hey, I'm going to say this for him. And then you were
thanks
like,
for helping
oh
me
yeah,
out.
I forgot
gotcha.
about him. And then I said Cam Rising after that because he didn't get hurt. And then Ethan was amazed with all the quarterbacks in the Pac-12.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because Cam Ward or C Ward. I don't know what his first name is. Cameron Ward for Washington State. You know, put up 450 yards and 3 touchdowns last
Is he the
week.
transfer from like Houston or something? I feel like I've seen that name from Houston.
He might have been.
That's where
He is
Wisconsin
from
was.
Texas. No, he was. So his first 2, he was at Washington State last year. His first 2 years actually. He started his career at Incarnate Word.
Maybe that's where I've heard it from NDSU playoff game or something. I
Well,
definitely
he is-
heard that
No,
name.
and he didn't play. He never played against NDSU because
No?
he was at Washington State last year
Okay.
already.
That name sounds familiar.
Well, who
But
knows, Ethan?
It was actually a fairly big deal when he transferred because he transferred up.
Yeah.
Maybe South Dakota State played him in Incarnate
Maybe.
Word.
Oh, that could be.
And your dad remembered the name and said that.
I remember watching them. I
Just
remember
maybe.
watching Incarnate Word in the playoffs. Who they played, I don't know. Could be
Yeah,
South
I
Dakota
don't know.
State.
But yeah, that is the college week 1. We got some better games coming up in week 2. The obvious one, Alabama, Texas. That's the big one on everyone's docket. And you know, I picked Texas. I think Grant picked Texas. Ethan's the only one who didn't have Texas playing in the Big 12 championship game. And I don't know. I don't know if this is some gamesmanship by Sark, not really kind of going with a more conservative game plan against Rice. But I'm a little bit hesitant now that I picked Texas to be one of the teams playing in Dallas on championship weekend because Quinn Ewers did not look great. We'll see when the lights are on if he's going to show out, but you know.
Well,
Jalen Milroe looked pretty solid. I don't how they're going to handle that raucous Bryant-Denny Stadium crowd. I don't know. I think we said this last year with Alabama going in there that it could get ugly. It could get ugly again. Go for Texas.
I just don't think Texas is that good. I mean, didn't they just play Rice, right?
Yep.
Kind of just
Correct.
squeaked. I shouldn't say squeaked by, but they didn't look particularly great.
It took them a half to get going.
Yeah, but I don't know. I guess Alabama, I didn't see their highlights. They were playing some schnub, so it doesn't really matter anyway. But just Alabama's Alabama, like, and that's. I guess it's in Texas, though, isn't it? Oh no, it's in.
It's in
Bama this year.
It's in Alabama.
Which
Yeah,
is
that's not gonna go
interesting
well.
that they were allowed to play this game because Oklahoma and Georgia were supposed to play this year, but it was canceled because they were they were going to the SEC. Unless it was because
Dylan.
I'm thinking out loud, it might be because they already played the year before
That's
and they
exactly.
just wanted to finish it out.
I was thinking about that the other day, and I asked Alec about that. I said they canceled the Oklahoma-Georgia game, and he brought up the point. Well, you know what? They played last year in Texas. They're playing this year in Alabama, so both teams have had a quote home game. So it won't matter with SEC scheduling. Like first year Oklahoma's in the SEC. If they have to go to Georgia, they might raise holy hell because hey, why do we have to go there 2 years in a row?
Yeah.
So I think that's it. The fact that they played last year in Texas, and then this year in Bryant Denny, there in Tuscaloosa, call it even. Both teams have played an away game.
That could be it.
Let's finish this out.
If this was the year one of that Oklahoma LSU, like, yeah, you were not going to get that second game, so that makes sense to cancel that.
Yep, exactly.
Also, I looked it up. Ward, he played versus Sam Houston State in 2020. He threw for almost 500 yards.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure I watched that game.
Was that the season when Sam
in
Houston,
the spring season?
Spring season,
Was that-
49-42.
Was that when Sam Houston won? If I'm not mistaken,
Yep.
did they?
Yes.
They win
They
it
lost
that
him
year?
in the semifinals, it looked like.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Because Sam Houston beat NDSU in the quarters, and that's who they played. But the rest of the games, a sneaky one. Ole Miss, Tulane. Ole Miss travels to Tulane.
It might be first to 60 in that game.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's take a look here. What the there it is. What the total is. Total in this game. That
I bet
67.
I was going to say 60 something or 70 something.
I think I'm going to take the over, though. I think now I'll release those on Saturday morning, but Texas A&M plays Miami. I know that's two of Grant's favorite teams. I know he's chomping at the bit, but
I
might have a
fucking hate
little bit
both
of
of those schools.
might have a little bit of trouble in paradise there with his second and third favorite teams playing at the same time as his favorite team, the Iowa, because it's the Cyhawk game.
Yeah, I know. Why do the college football people got to do that to me? Three of my favorite teams playing all at 2:30, and two of them are playing against each other.
Yeah.
But I don't.
So-
if you're wondering, Dylan, who am I rooting for in that A&M Miami game?
Dallas.
Even though he lays up on par fours, I'd have to root for Texas A&M.
Wow. Wow, that's how much Grant hates Miami, is that he has to cheer for the guy that lays up on par fours.
I know, it's upsetting. And I'm choosing
But
Texas.
how you feeling about Iowa State? Does the Cyhawk trophy return home?
I'm feeling optimistic about it. Dylan, like I told you last week, this offense, they're not going to light the world on fire. It's going to take at least a month to get things going, but you were able to see some signs of improvement, and then just this fact: one, the personnel was a lot better, and two, the schematics and the formations they were in, a little more 3 receiver sets, 2 tight end sets, 2 running backs on the field at the same time, a lot of different personnel groupings. And you could just tell Cade had more control of the offense. And again, like I said, it was Utah State. I'm not getting my hopes up here, but the offensive line play was a lot better. You didn't see guys getting beaten like a Cherokee war drum. One thing that I would like to improve on is blitz pickup. Again, that's 2 years in a row now. You have free rushers coming in hitting your quarterback. That cannot happen. You're going to lose games if that happens.
Not 100%.
No, and that thigh injury from training camp is there, and then, like I said, if he doesn't have his legs, then if this free rusher's coming in, that's bad news right there. But you could see as him and his receivers got to get some timing down. If they can get that going, like I said, which they will in weeks 5, 6, 7, it could be a good year. Could be a fun year. So, like what I saw, and you just got to remember, it's baby steps. It's not going to be great week 1, and hopefully it's not awful like it was last year. But no, I am feeling good, and the one thing I'm feeling real good about was shocking here, this Iowa defense, but how they tackled in space. Utah State, they're trying to spread you out, getting the ball on the boundary. You're on the left hash. They're on the left hash. They have three receivers out to the right. You're throwing it to one. It's essentially 1-on-2. If you don't make a tackle, they're going to get a big play. And they tackled well, and I think that's what Iowa State's going to do. So we'll see. That's why we play the game. But feeling good about the Cy-Hawk Trophy returning back to Iowa City this year.
So, would you, if you were a gambling man? Nobody on this podcast is at all. But if we were gamblers, do we take the honorary under in this game of 36.5?
Yes,
I would, because I don't think Iowa State has an offense this year. Sure, they put up 30 points last week. That's against the dying program of Northern Iowa. Northern Iowa is not what they used to be. They're garbage. They suck.
This is true.
Iowa State don't have a quarterback. He's suspended. They have no players on the outside. I think this Iowa defense might only give up 10 to 13 points in this game. They only gave up 10 points last year, and they lost 10-7. Do I think they could score 24 and give up 10, and then it hits 34? Absolutely. So I think you take the under, just because I think the Iowa defense is going to shut down Iowa State.
Yeah, I think it will. I think unless you just see some weird things happen, like it was 2 years ago where there was like Iowa had 3 defensive touchdowns and just kind of that weird unfortunate bounces that go certain ways. But
Dylan, I do gotta say this. Last week, seeing Seth Anderson just make a move on a corner, seeing him fall and Cade hitting him in the end zone, as a fan, it was refreshing. You're like,
that was their first passing touchdown on an opening drive since like the 90s.
91.
Oh, this was before Kirk Ferentz. So that's the first time in Kirk Ferentz's head coaching tenure at Iowa that they've had a passing touchdown on the first drive of the. Oh my gosh!
On the first drive in the first game of the season.
I can't believe it.
It's the most Iowa stat of all time, isn't it? It's incredible.
Yeah, it truly is. The other big noon kickoff game. It's going to Dion's Folsom Field debut. They play Nebraska, Colorado. I think Colorado's going to have some resistance offensively. I think it's going to be tough to match what you did, especially against the improved and tougher defense. Right now Colorado is 3-point favorites. There's a lot of people. That line has changed because going in, Nebraska was actually like 6-point favorites going into this game. And if you look at go onto ESPN and you look at their the matchup predictor, it gives Nebraska a 58.6% chance to win on Saturday.
I just don't see that, guys.
I don't see their offense putting up enough points.
No, not at all. I mean, I would look at that Nebraska team, like I said, and I think it's going to be a long fall just because they don't have the personnel and offense there.
I will say, like, Colorado's defense will not be as good as Minnesota's. Like, that's pretty blatant. So maybe they can wear that D-line down and then start getting something going. But Colorado's going to put up 24 plus. Like, as great a defense as Nebraska was on last week, it's not going to be the same. TC or Colorado has better athletes than Minnesota. Like we saw that on the field.
Mm-hmm.
But can Nebraska score 24? I don't know. They'll probably 17-20. But
I think Nebraska, if they want to win this game, like last week they had, what do they have? 158 yards on the ground, something.
Yeah.
Jeff Sims had 91 yards rushing. They're going to try to take the air out of the ball and keep that offense off the field.
But the problem is as you guys, I've said this 1,000 times before, the most overrated stat in football is time of possession.
Mm-hmm.
I don't give a shit if Nebraska has the ball for 38 minutes and Colorado's sucking air at that altitude and they're tired. If you're kicking field goals and turning the ball over in the red zone like you did last week and you're having penalties, it's not going to matter.
And you also
that's the thing.
You also
the thing though too is
field away with Hunter. They're not going to throw at Hunter.
Well, no, and Sims can't throw anyway. So
this is Nebraska. They move the ball against Minnesota. It's just just those minor details that, that Matt Rule has been a staple of, that he's very, focused on, and that's how he's built his programs, is winning with those minor details. If they're able to shore some of those up, they might have a shot late in the game. But yeah, I'm not touching this game. I already learned my lesson. Do not bet against Colorado, because I thought TCU was going to cover the 21 with ease, but I was wrong. And according to TikTok, that wasn't even my worst bet of the week. But I was right on the worst one was that some guy didn't think that LSU was gonna, or Florida State was gonna beat LSU, but they did. I was right. I made sure he knew about it too. But that is enough week 2 preview for college football here. Bison are gonna play Maine. They're gonna win by a lot. That's all you need to know about the NDSU Maine game on Saturday in the Fargo Dome. So